Well, good evening. I am the Reverend Dr. Karen Robb. I'm Senior Minister for Plymouth Congregational Church, and I am a member at large on the Executive Board for Justice Together, and I am so glad that you are all here this evening. I am happy, we are happy here at Plymouth to share our space with Church of the Savior for this wonderful concert, so thank you for being here. I attended one of the very first meetings for what would eventually become Justice Together. That was 3 years ago now, and I knew right away that I wanted to be a part of this organization, and I wanted my church to be a part of the organization as well. Wichita can be a wonderful place to live. We are lucky to have a history filled with people who were dreamers, who had grit and determination to make things happen 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 75 years ago. We have a wonderful zoo, we have Music Theater Wichita, we have Wichita Symphony, we have Botanica, Exploration Place, the Wichita Art Museum, all of these wonderful things that make life worth living. And yet I drove down 2nd Street today, and it's very clear that there are so many people in our community who not only don't have all those wonderful things that make life worth living, they don't have the basic necessities of life. And so I feel like this is the generation that has the opportunity to make justice happen in our community together. And so that is why I am a part of this organization, and I want to introduce Louis, who needs no introduction for all of you, I'm sure, and he will tell you a little bit about what we have done so far and where we're going.
Thank you, Dr. Robb. My name is Louis Gosselin. I'm lead organizer with Justice Together, and I'm also happy to be joined by two of my colleagues here, Ethan Henry and Tiger Hahn, and we have the privilege and honor of working with over 40 congregations throughout Sedgwick County. Our work is to work towards the community that God intends, a community where justice rolls like mighty waters, but we start in the world as it is, and as Dr. Robb shared, we live in a community that is struggling. We live in a community where the point-in-time count will tell you that there are around 700 people who experience homelessness, but that's just the number of people that they could find on one given night. In reality, if you talk to a service provider, such as United Methodist Open Door, they'll tell you that that number is closer to 2,000 people who experience homelessness in our community year over year. And so when I say that we're working towards the community that God intends, but we start in the world as it is, that begins every year with what we call our listening process. And that's where this year about 100 team leaders, as we call them, from different congregations come together for small group discussions. And they ask people, what's weighing heavy on your heart or makes you angry in your community? Or if that's not your experience, when you lift people up who you know in your prayers, what are they experiencing? And what are you praying for them? And through that, we decide what our priorities are going to be. And so in our past work, we've taken on issues such as mental health, as well as the issue of homelessness. And what we've been able to accomplish has been, on the mental health front, 24-hour mobile mental crisis units, so that when people are having a crisis, it's not police or EMS that's there to resolve it, but now throughout Sedgwick County, at any hour of the day and any day of the year, there are mental health specialists who will show up and help people stabilize on site instead of in the jail or in the hospital. Around the issue of homelessness, we've secured ongoing funding for the multi-agency center, and we're currently pushing towards a housing first solution so that people aren't simply sheltering and receiving services, but are actually being put on track to receive the kind of permanent housing that affords the kind of dignity and stability that we feel all of us deserve. We're also working towards, on the issue of homelessness, we were also able to secure something as simple as a little plastic rectangle that has everything to do with whether or not you can access a job or housing or just the right to be in a particular place at a given time when dealing with authorities. And that's a no-cost, low-barrier photo ID, which is now available to anyone who wants one at Wichita City Hall. And so these are some of the small examples of what we've been able to accomplish, first by opening up the discussion with what matters to you. Second, by calling on all those who have a heart to answer God's call to do justice, to bring other people into this work. And every year, hundreds of people go out and they bring 3 other folks with them to what we call our annual Nehemiah Assembly, where we bring our proposals to the officials who have the authority to enact them. Then we follow up and make sure they do that, because it's one thing to go up and say yes in front of a crowd of folks, it's another thing to actually implement them. And so currently, we're negotiating with our Wichita City Council on creating ongoing funding for an affordable housing fund that's going to continue to bring homes into reality for those who need them in our community. And so the way that we're able to do this work has everything to do with the ownership that people in our community have over this ministry. Rather than us go and try to seek funding by pitching different issues to funders, instead, we call on our local community to invest in the work that we're doing. And so we see that investment show up in so many ways. In some ways, it's as simple as people opening up the door and having the conversation with their fellow worshipers. In other ways, it's the cookies outside, where each person from these different member congregations have represented the number of people they're getting out to our annual Nehemiah Assembly in the form of a tasty treat that you can enjoy after tonight's performance. And sometimes it's folks bringing their creative talents and their heart fully into this work, like what we're seeing here tonight. And we're so grateful to Church of the Savior for sharing this special evening with us to help benefit this important work that we're doing. And so we do invite folks to take this opportunity to continue to invest in this work so that we can continue to listen to the voice of the people throughout Wichita and Sedgwick County, and so that we can sustain this ministry from the people who own it, and that's each and every one of you. And so we welcome the opportunity for you to continue this work with us, alongside us. And if you're interested in how you might get involved, I'm around. We're always welcome to share our work even further. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Love has shown you, dear human, what is good, and what does the holy ask of you, but to make justice happen, to love, compassion, and to walk open-hearted in the ways of life. Prophets ancient and contemporary invite us to trade dominance for the way of life. Friends, let us gather our offerings this day that we may do justice together.